As you know, this project is focused on linear design. So if we only have line to deal with, how do we create an interesting design? And I want you to think about a couple things. First of all, when we look at our balloons, I want you to choose one balloon that you really like, and that's going to be the one that's going to entail the point of focus. All right? You're in control of how your drawing is seen by the viewer, and you're going to take advantage of that. All right? And the main reason and the main technique that you can use to take advantage of that is called point of focus. So when I look at my 3 balloons out there, like I said before, I feel like the orange one is very interesting, and I like the interest in that. So that orange one is going to be my point of focus in my composition. All right? And I'd like you to choose which one you'd like to focus on in yours. Okay? So now that I know that that is my point of focus, there's several things I can do to draw the viewer's eye towards that area of my drawing. And one of the main things you could do is you can create a greater feeling of contrast. All right? So if you look at my drawing here, this line here and here, here, and here, I've darkened those, and that makes them pop out compared to the surrounding white tone, and that's called contrast. All right? There's another thing you can do. You can vary the width of the line, okay? So these darker lines I have thicker, all right? And then I have lighter lines, thinner, okay? So that's another thing you can do. You can vary the width of the line. Another thing you can do is you can create something called hard and soft edges, all right? I can create an edge that's darker, harder, and then an edge that's lighter and softer. Okay? So that's another way to create variety in your line. All right. So let's experiment with some of these things. Now, working on the branch is difficult, right? Because as the branch goes up towards the points, they get very narrow and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner till you're left with just a single line. But when you move up the stem, it's difficult. You're trying to take a line on each side and bring them together to create an interior width, okay? And that's very difficult to do. So what I found, this is a little trick I have, is that you can fill in your branch, okay? Let's say I want to work on this section right here. I'm going to fill it in, all right? And then I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I'm going to knead it until it has sort of a flat edge, but on kind of a point. And then I'm going to use it like a drawing instrument and manipulate that edge, okay? And you can see that creates contrast. It also creates definition in the line. All right, I can do it on one side and then manipulate it. Then on the other side, I'm trying to create variety in my width, variety in my line. Okay? So this is much more convincing than the way I had it before. I can also go back in with my charcoal and say, oh, you know, I want this sharper, darker, okay? And then leave the other areas lighter or ill-defined, okay? Another thing you can do is, in order to make this balloon pop forward, I sort of lightened the branch behind the edge of the balloon there so that the balloon itself creates interest and is coming forward, and the branch is receding. And you can see the difference between this balloon and this balloon. Higher contrast, darker lines, thicker lines. This softer, lighter overall, not a lot of variety in it, okay? So that recedes and this comes forward, okay? So think about that, hard and soft edges, dark edges, light edges, lost edges, like I can cut across my branch, lose the edge, and maybe only define it on one side, okay? And that helps give the branch a sense of turning around and moving and not just being bordered by two rigid lines, okay? And then I want you to look at your whole image, okay? And when the viewer looks at the image, you want their eye to move around the image, okay? So as you see in my drawing, I have dark, I skip a part, dark, skip, dark. Then I'm into dark here, I'm skipping interest here, I'm darkening here, okay? So I'm guiding the viewer's eye through the branches by varying those aspects of the line. So let me go over it again. I'm going to consider the width of the line, the contrast of the line, whether it's light or dark, light against dark, dark against light, the point of focus, that area, okay, hard and soft edges, hard meaning I'm pressing down harder on my charcoal, it's sharper edge, and soft edges where it's more diffuse and blended. And then any kind of variety, especially in the branch, between straight and curved possibly, thick and thin. I chose a branch that was gnarly, so maybe I'm going to emphasize those joints where the more bumpy aspect of the branch is located. Okay? And then you're going to finish it up. I don't want a whole bunch of values. Even though I have you filling in some of the branch in order to manipulate it from the outside, I don't want all your branches filled in, okay? You can use it in certain sections to try to give variety and interest, okay? So, so when your drawing is completed, when you feel pretty good about it, you can clean it up. You can use your gray kneaded eraser. Or if you feel like you've got an area where you've done a lot of correction, you can use it's called the gum eraser, and it's the yellowish brown square one. And that can clean up a larger area. Okay? But don't overdo it. Don't be too rough on the page. And just be clear about your design. Add variety to your line, because we're going to use this in a further exercise in our Noton unit.